Today I head to the Mesa Convention Center for the Phoenix Reptile Expo. It opens at 10, but people were there in line at 9:30 when I arrived. Let's check out this anaconda. Okay, here is one big snake. And I'm assuming this is a green anaconda?
It is. She's about 16 feet and weighs about 120, 130
Wow.
pounds.
That's how you get your workout in.
Yes.
Spectacular snake.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's good. There's so much to see at the Phoenix Reptile Expo. I think it's impossible to see everything. It'd take you forever to look in every little dilly cup. But these blue tree monitors, they stood out to me.
The blue tree monitors, these are just too freaking cool.
As I travel around the expo, I try to take a picture of every booth and cover some of the animals that are there. Seems like there's different color morphs of every reptile. Some spectacular bearded dragons running around, snagging some crickets. Well, there's always lots of bearded dragons, leopard geckos, crested geckos, ball pythons. There's really just about every type and species of reptile you might want to find. And it's obvious these are all captive bred reptiles, so it doesn't impact the wild at all. Well, actually it helps the animals in the wild because we're not taking them from the wild anymore. Captive breeding. And I guess I should say, in addition to all the different reptiles, there's supplies, artwork, clothes, so just about anything you might want to find at the Reptile Expo, you'll find it. Check that out. I mean, just amazing. As I take my videos now, I'm trying to get some of the prices in, so as you look back at videos from prior years, you might be able to get an idea of how prices change and go up and down. Crested gecko. Love those eyes. This vendor gave me that tortoise sticker. That was great. Let's check out some geckos. The close-up view. Bearded dragon. Here's some of that artwork. Spectacular heart stones. Copper infused. Blood python. Yeah, I like to say just about any reptile you might want. Male veiled chameleon. Based on color, that looks like a gravid female. Spectacular.
Hey, now it's a video. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'm sorry, all of these animals didn't pass our health inspection from our veterinarian.
But they look pretty cool.
Cool insects mounted and framed. You can put them on your wall. Very cool. And how about this Caribbean land crab?
But I bet if you cooked it, it might be yummy.
That thing just looked crazy. Yep, you're never quite sure what you'll run into. And gotta say, I love the ornate Uromastyx. Look at that. Nice and fat. Look like they're in great shape.
Sometimes they
Bargain
need
at
to cool down
$500.
too.
Yeah, I was doing that, but I was a few degrees off. This year I cooled them down like 4 degrees cooler.
Just amazing to see. And I still remember when the first veiled chameleons came in. Spectacular. And baby caiman lizards. Actually raised caiman lizards here. That's actually artwork there. It wasn't a live tortoise looked very realistic. And who knew there were color phases? The false water cobra. Amazing. Let's check these out. Collared lizards, aquaflame, Gurnia, spectacular. Just amazing to see what some of the people have done. Don't look real. Colombian red-tail boa, I assume. And then you never know who you might meet. There's Richard Porter and my brother Richard Fife with Keith Clemmy. Well, some of you may be familiar with my work with Galapagos tortoises. You may not have known Richard Porter, who I would refer to as a real Galapagos king. Many of these people you might just walk right by are actually some of the legends in the hobby. They were some of the first people to breed some of these reptiles that now we look at and think are so common, and many people are breeding them. Without some of those legends, many of the lizards, snakes, and tortoises that we have today, available today, wouldn't be here. Many of the legends have passed. I think of Bob Mayhew and his work with bearded dragons and frogs. You can't forget Burt Langerworth. He produced so many species at his farm in Alabama. Back in the day, an Australian water dragon was only $30. He probably captive bred more of them at his facility than the rest of the world combined. Definitely more than are being produced in the U.S. currently. But many of these people were the ones that developed the husbandry practices, wrote the books on reptile keeping, that allowed for the explosion of reptile breeding. And though we continue to build on these practices and refine them and improve them, they established some of the original standards. And many of these snakes, lizards, and tortoises wouldn't be bred today if it weren't for them. A lot of you are familiar with temperature sex determination, but do you know it wasn't that many years ago that we didn't even have an understanding of that? And it wasn't many years before that that keeping reptiles was like a stamp collection, because people just didn't understand that reptiles could be bred in captivity. Now they're available at your local pet shop.
I am here at the pet shop.
Hello, Jerry, as always.
This is Vanessa. And next door to your booth, you have
U.S. Art.
U.S. Art. And there's the man himself, Phil.
Tony!
And Tony.
Tony's here too.
He's the new attorney.
Woo!
How new are you?
Tony the attorney.
Organizations like U.S. ARC didn't exist. Neither did the Endangered Species Act or all the import regulations. Many reptiles that you can't obtain today were regularly imported, but we didn't have the understanding to treat them for parasites, to treat them for disease, or even how to maintain them to keep them alive. So unfortunately, many of them passed away. Most people gave little thought to reptiles, just didn't care about them. But thanks to a few zoos and private keepers, they established all the protocols on how to maintain, to keep their reptiles alive, and then how to breed them, how to raise the young. According to information I found on the internet, so we know it must be true, but only 2% of U.S. households had a reptile as a pet in 2007. By 2020, this had more than doubled to 4.5% of households. But reptile ownership is much larger with Generation Z, where 27% of them maintained a reptile as a pet in 2020. And I'm sure by now, 2024, these numbers have even increased. But back when I was a teenager, back in the 1970s, very few people had them. The only reptile books were field guides to identify the species and where they're from. There was no internet or Google search to find out what an animal was or how to care for it. It was pretty much all trial and error. In 1987, Vivarium magazine was first published, providing information on the care or maintenance of reptiles. And 6 years later, Reptiles magazine came out. And of course, Felipe published a number of books on the care and maintenance of different reptiles. It was also around this time that Wayne Hill started the first Reptile Expo down in Florida. And I think all these things together kind of started the boom of the reptile hobby. I don't think anyone back from those early days could have foreseen how the hobby would grow and how mainstream reptile keeping would become. Now it seems like just about anyone I talk to, man or woman, child, they've had a tortoise, they've had a leopard gecko, or they have a bearded dragon, and they love them. All the people breeding crested geckos, yet it wasn't that many years ago they thought they were extinct. There are so many Indian spotted turtles, Hamiltoni, being bred in captivity in the U.S. that they are literally being given away, even though they're close to extinction in their natural range. Yet, U.S. Fish and Wildlife and so many of our government officials fail to see the benefits of captive breeding and how captive breeding saves wild populations, because no one's going to go poach a turtle when they can buy one for next to nothing or get it for free. Yet they still enact laws to restrict ownership, restrict the sale and trade of reptiles. Officials have publicly said it's better for an animal to go extinct with dignity than to be kept in captivity. Obviously, those of us at the Reptile Expo don't feel that way. We want animals to thrive in their native lands, and where their native habitat is being destroyed, we want to establish assurance colonies for those reptiles so that they'll be here for our children, for our children's children, for future generations to enjoy and appreciate. And though some people don't see the benefit of color morphs, breeding albinos, and the various piebalds and color phases, some of them look spectacular. That piebald ball python may be what got you curious and interested in snakes. Maybe got you to overcome a fear and appreciation of snakes. That albino leopard gecko may have made you fall in love with it and develop a love for all reptiles. And I've often said, we save what we love, we protect what we love. So I personally think there's a place for all of them, that all of them add to conservation, because once you develop that love and appreciation, you save, you conserve what you love. You're willing to donate to help save these in the wild, to protect habitat, and do what's needed, because you fell in love with a $75 leopard gecko. Yeah, if you've watched many of my videos, you know sometimes I get off on these tangents and start my ramblings, giving thoughts on just about anything and everything. But at least you're getting to look at some cool reptiles.
Okay, tell me what this is.
This is a Deoplatus gorachovi. It's kind of new to the States, actually. It's a deadleaf mantis in Asia.
Very cool.
Yeah, even if you don't want to buy something, just come in to check out the animals, to see things you've never seen before. Make it a worthwhile trip. In addition to the reptiles and amphibians, well, here's some carnivorous plants. It would literally take hours if you looked at every single specimen that was here at the Expo. If you talked to all the vendors to learn about care and maintenance and how they do things, you could spend the day. But fortunately, if you don't get enough of the Expo on Saturday, it's open the following day. I think this video is already longer than I planned it to be, but there's just so much stuff to see. You gotta just show more and more. And even though there's lots of different vendors with some of the same species, the color morphs, the variations, size, age. Oh, there's a panther caboose. Love those. Just everything. Blue-tongued skinks. And up above that, the monkey tail skink. Spectacular. The neat thing is if you're looking for a particular reptile and you find it at one vendor, you can comparison shop or look for the perfect specimen by going to other vendors. The trouble is, you always risk the chance that they'll sell it out before you get back.
Okay, you got to pose again.
Okay.
First, I got to get the real stars. Okay. Say something intelligent.
Something intelligent.
They're very literal over here.
Well, some species there may be a lot to choose from. Others, there may only be one or two. And in some cases, only one vendor will have a species. And that's why it's important to talk to the vendors. Establish a relationship. So if you're looking for something particular that's fairly uncommon, not frequently bred, you can get on their wait list, or at least you know who to contact.
It's like where everyone is hanging out.
Got my security
I
guard.
tell you, Andy, you're brave letting all these people in here.
Too friendly.
Lots of tortoises, lots of everything. And we see who's doing all the work.
The TTPG had a field trip to the tortoise compound, owned and operated by Andy and Julian. So we got to see firsthand how they're kept and the quality of their enclosures.
Look at that.
There's a spectacular bearded dragon.
This is a tortoise guy.
But that's another advantage of getting to know a vendor, making friends, if you can actually go see the animals where and how they're kept. Great advantage, particularly to new keepers. Spectacular tortoises. Spectacular animals. Little bit of everything.
Sure, to all the women you give stuff out.
These are my girls, Jerry.
I don't know what a kinghorn assassin bug is, but it sounds dangerous. Look at these. Check out this tarantula.
I guess assassin bugs can give a painful bite, but they're generally beneficial to humans as they eat other insects. Veterinarians specializing in reptile medicine. Who would imagine they even had candy?
For those of you that want a tortoise that's easier to take care of, all sorts of cool stuff. And there's Debbie.
And no setup is complete without plants. And here they've got everything you need.
Yep, this is the Expo. Hey!
But the Expo's more than just about animals.
Possibly.
People you meet, the friends you make, contacts. I don't even plan to buy anything, but I just want to see everyone, talk to everyone, and of course, see all the reptiles, see what's new.
I know it. Want to fight?
Uh-oh. He's knocked people out at the Expo before, you know.
Knock you out.
Not this Expo, but
It's been a while.
Daytona.
People that didn't pay their bills.
Okay, stick out your tongue again. Yeah, beautiful. On demand. Vanessa Ategu, not to be confused.
Yeah, I have great stories about when we used to go to the Daytona Reptile Expo. And you know, these guys still have great stories and memories of their time spent here at the Phoenix Reptile Expo. And you know, ZooMed is always a backer and sponsor of the expos, Timberline, and it's just great to see the support. And support these vendors because they provide an incredible service. Like I say, back in my day, there was no ZooMed. You couldn't buy Vitalites or any of those products to help maintain our reptiles. There's no Timberline. You couldn't just go buy crickets or superworms to feed your reptiles. Yeah, the reptile industry's come a long way. So take advantage of all these products to benefit the animals that you keep. Come to the Reptile Expo, talk to some of these experts on how they maintain their reptiles. There's Pete, Waterland Tub.
Hey, this is actually a video. You brought the whole family. So what's your name?
My name's Isaiah.
What brought you to the Expo today?
Just a passion for reptiles and, you know, our love for animals.
Passion for reptiles. Do you like reptiles?
I like reptiles too.
Yeah, that's great. Well, have fun.
I love seeing the families come out to the Reptile Expo. I think they even had Grandma with them. With all the books and materials, products that are available, and just information that's available. There's no reason to not maintain our reptiles at a high standard. I was even fortunate enough to track down the owners of the Reptile Expo. James Badman, Drew Reinhardt, even got a picture with the group. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.